Hi, this is Brendan Mooney. It's Thursday evening on the 2nd of April 2020. I'm in my home in Cambridgeshire. I'm a member of the Ecumenical Franciscan community of Our Lady of Compassion. And I've had a bit of a social media presence because often through a page that I run on the page, with other members of the community, talk about issues relating to spirituality, Franciscan spirituality, global spirituality, pastoral care and pastoral issues, global issues, justice and peace issues, particularly social justice issues. So there's lots of those things that I and our community comment on in relation to the spiritual life. Recently, for many of us, the whole issue of COVID-19 has become a focus of our attention. I think it's globally everyone's attentive to that. All the algorithms on social media are bringing up images and pictures and news stories, about COVID-19. My YouTube stream is full of it. So it's very much in the realm of human consciousness that this terrible disease that is decimating human life and is causing a complete lockdown of the world, where people are having to go into isolation in order to protect the environment and the community from mass contamination. So that's something that we've been talking about. Now, there's a theme that I want to address in relation to certain people who have been talking about this, religious people. I'm thinking particularly Catholic Christian people who have been talking about this in terms of feeling attacked and deprived and ill done by both the church and the state, because they can't go to church at the moment, they can't go to services, because part of the public health model is that we shouldn't be gathering together with other people, where there's the spread of germs, and in the spread of germs is the spread of viruses, and therefore cross-contamination, which then as people depart from the church and go out into the world, they then bring that contamination to others. We saw that's what happened in Korea, and particularly in Korea, actually, there was a woman who had been contaminated with COVID-19 and wouldn't go into isolation and was attending a church service and infected masses of people in the church, and then masses of people in the church infected masses of people in the world. So the lesson there is that really we should be closing churches and not having public church services, but live streaming liturgies for people to watch. And Pope Francis has been doing that. Most of the dioceses throughout the world have been doing that, taking seriously the fact that we can't be gathering together as a community in a church at the moment because it's dangerous. But there are people who are saying it's not dangerous. People who think that they're special and different, and who think that the rules don't apply to them, that don't think that the public health model really applies to them, because you have people like Archbishop Vigano and Cardinal Burke going on television, going on social media and saying this is wrong, we shouldn't be closing churches, we must have public sacraments and public worship and confession and communion and all of that. So they think that they know better when it comes to public health than the experts. And then you have a parish in Minnesota, Holy Trinity and St. Augustine Parish, where a priest there on the 15th of March was filmed taking a load of people on a procession following the Blessed Sacrament, and then Mass in a church packed with people, saying that he wasn't going to take holy water out of the holy water founts, and that he was going to continue giving people Holy Communion on the tongue. On the tongue, which is where saliva gathers and where cross-contamination can happen big time. And then you have organizations like Lifesitenews, a supposedly Catholic organization, and other organizations like Church Militant, and also the Remnant, and many other of these kind of crazy fringe Catholic organizations, but who have a lot of influence on the minds of a substantial number of a minority, but a substantial number, with the idea that somehow they're being persecuted, driven from the churches, and that it's not fair, that it's not right, that it's all of that. And then in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, they have done a close down, but the bishop saying Mass, the doors are not closed to the cathedral, and people are coming into the cathedral for Mass and then presenting themselves for communion. Some of them sticking their tongue out, and the priest is giving them communion on the tongue. And one of the sort of clerical representatives of that diocese, I read an article saying, if people turn up, we can't turn them away. You can turn them away, and you should turn them away. And you should tell them to go home and to watch the live stream and to pray at home and to accept that they are in solidarity with the rest of the church and the rest of humanity. I don't understand why you're saying that. It's insane. I don't understand why Archbishop Vigano and Cardinal Burke are defying the Holy Father and saying we should be having public services, why they're defying the advice of public health officials and putting that out there for gullible people that follow their stuff to read and listen to and believe. I'm just appalled, to be honest with you. And now you have Governor Ron DeSantis doing the same thing in Florida, I think it is, allowing people to attend church services and religious services. Thankfully, the Catholic Archbishop of Miami has said there's going to be no services in Catholic churches right up until the Easter period. It's not happening. Thank God. There's some sense there. And also in the Orthodox Church, some of the Orthodox churches are still continuing to give people Holy Communion from a spoon. You're all nuts, all crazy, all deluded, all without compassion or charity or empathy. As a psychotherapist, when I hear people talking in grandiose terms about I want to do things my way, despite the harm it might cause to others, it's all about me and what I think. And what these people are saying is, we're doing it for Jesus. Jesus in the Blessed Sacraments feeling oppressed by people not being allowed to go to Mass. He can't cope with it. He's going to get really cross and punish you all. So you better all turn up to Mass and infect the whole bloody world with coronavirus. You're nuts. There's deep narcissism involved in taking that sort of position. The importance of empathy as a quality of being, as a spiritual quality of being, as well as a psychological quality of being. Spiritual quality of being is our ability to be able to understand the feelings and the suffering and the pain and the distress of other human beings, and from that to be able to respond in compassion, and compassion means to be able to detect suffering in others and to be able to respond to that suffering and help in some way. And what you want to do is that you want to add to that suffering. You want to add to the pain of humanity. You want to do things that will definitely spread this virus and kill people. The old, the young, all sorts of people, health workers. You want to spread that virus around. Listen, there are doctors and nurses in hospitals dying in their service of humanity, suffering with this virus because it's so contagious. They don't have all the right equipment to be able to do the work that they need to do, and they're getting infected and dying. In this country alone, there's been 5 reported consultant deaths and other healthcare professional deaths because of this virus. In the UK, 2 weeks ago, there were something like 200 people had died. 2 weeks later, almost, and now there's over 2,000 people dead. Grow up. Stop being selfish. Listen to the Holy Father. Listen to the health professionals. Imitate Christ. Christ did not come and bring disease and death and suffering to people. He healed sick people. He raised the dead from the grave. He touched those with diseases and healed them because he was God. You are not God. You are not gods. You cannot tell people to go to church and attend services and support them in that and call yourself a Christian. You're a menace. And my hope is, if you keep on saying this stuff on TV or in the media, that actually the authorities will probably get sick of you and arrest you. I hope so. And I think Archbishop Vigano lives in Italy and he's seen what's happening in Italy. I hope he gets arrested for getting up and telling people that they should be going to church and that it's wrong to close down churches. It's narcissism. I really hope to God that the people of God have got the sense to know that God is with them. You are a living sacrament of the divine presence. God is present in your heart. Nothing can take that away from you. At home you can pray, you can meditate, you can read the scriptures, you can live stream Mass. You can use this time to infuse your own spiritual journey and develop your own compassionate capacities, to develop your own consciousness. This is a prime opportunity to be able to do that. Rather than listening to foolish, idiotic men saying things that would cause mass contamination of a disease. Stop listening to these people. Listen to the Holy Father, who is filled with the grace and compassion of Christ. Listen to the doctors and nurses who are giving their lives. You know, the people who understand epidemics are putting themselves on the front line to protect us. Stop the nonsense. Stop it now. This is not of God. This is not of Christ. This is from your ego. And this, dare I say this, if we are lying and leading people into harm, we're not doing the work of God. We're doing somebody else's work. So stop. Thank you. God bless everyone.